The following was developed by public education agencies in association with the Agency for Instructional Technology. Together, programming for today's learner. All over the world, people use water to meet their needs. Sometimes, water may become a natural hazard. A natural hazard is an element of the natural environment that is harmful or dangerous to people. This program will examine the question, how do people deal with natural hazards, by first focusing on the Netherlands, a country in Europe. Europe is a densely settled region. The most densely settled country in the region is the Netherlands. Most of the people live in the western part because it is the center for trade, business, and agriculture. Most of the western part of the Netherlands is just above or below sea level. Protected only by dikes and sand dunes. If these dikes and sand dunes were removed, over 1/2 of the country would be flooded. Near the town of Oude Tong, in the southwestern part of the Netherlands, Herr Uman Kik strides across the dike with his son and daughter. He talks with them about how the Dutch have been building dikes and reclaiming land from the sea forever. He tells the young people that the Dutch coastline is protected by more than 1,000 kilometers or 600 miles of dikes. He recalls that during the past centuries, the sea has invaded the country many times.
Coffee!
He and his wife still remember the Great Flood of 1953.
Hallo?
Hallo.
Langzaam, langzaam.
Mrs. Uman Kik has vivid memories of that flood, which happened when she was only 15. Her children ask her to tell them about it.
Het was 34 jaar geleden toch al iets anders. Toen stormde het verschrikkelijk.
Using a collection of picture books, she explains that as a girl in the early 50s, she lived with her family in a house on Juliana Street.
En doordat we dus aan de rand van het dorp woonden, kregen we dus de eerste golfslag.
Dus je woonde aan de verkeerde kant van de
What
straat?
happened during the flood, her daughter asks.
Wel, doordat we dus
During the night of February 1st, a heavy storm, together with an exceptionally high spring tide, flooded this area.
Op een gegeven moment werden we dus wakker door het lawaai.
The dikes were not built to withstand such a storm.
En we probeerden nog wat te grijpen en renden naar boven.
Almost 1/10 of the country was underwater. Over 2,000 lives were lost, and the losses of homes, stores, farms, and businesses were enormous.
We moesten ons gewoon...
Her son asks, what happened to you during the flood? We woke up with water pouring into the house. We rushed upstairs, but the water came higher and higher. We clung to the roof beams in the dark, ice cold and soaking wet. We began floating down Juliana Street and tried to grab onto the attic of a nearby house. That's when my mother, brother, and sister disappeared into the waves. The daughter says, and that's all that remained of your house, that pile of rubble? She answers, yes, but you can rebuild a house. You can never bring back life. Another survivor of the flood is Mr. Knops. He walks down Juliana Street telling his granddaughter what happened that fateful night. As you can see, on this side of the street, the houses survived. But on that side, the water rushed in, destroying the houses completely. Those houses broke the force of the rushing water and saved this side of the street. High waves burst in through the open land like a thief in the night, completely unexpected and treacherous. It was awful. The destroyed houses were rebuilt, a gift from the people of Sweden. How high did the water go, his granddaughter asks. It was almost 3 meters, or about 10 feet high, he tells her. The granddaughter concludes that with the Delta Project, the people of her generation are protected from floods like that one, and they feel much safer. The Delta Project was started soon after the flood of 1953. One method used recently to build dams was to drop blocks of stone from a cable car built over the water. These blocks became the foundation for a dam. The last part of the Delta Project to be built was the storm surge barrier. First islands were built. Then, the seabed was strengthened using a special ship to compact the sand. Next, a protective covering of mats was laid down on the seabed. The piers that form the supporting parts of the storm surge barrier were then positioned on these mats. The piers were built on dry land and floated to the site of the barrier. Once the piers were in place, the storm surge barrier could be completed. Huge doors in the barrier can be lowered when dangerously high water is expected. The rest of the time, they are kept open. The Delta Project makes it possible for the people in the southwest region of the Netherlands to continue to use the sea as they always have, but safely. In addition, this system of dikes and bridges brings them closer to other parts of the country. The storm surge barrier is open most of the time, permitting the normal flow of seawater. This helps to preserve the natural environment. The Delta Project makes it possible for the people of the area to plan for the future. They can live their lives confident that the flood of 1953 will never happen again. Now you have seen how people deal with natural hazards in the Netherlands. How about other parts of the world? Like the Netherlands, Bangladesh is flat and subject to flooding by the sea. Also like the Netherlands, it is densely settled. However, the people have not been very successful in holding back the sea, so large areas are flooded from time to time. But this is changing. Using the knowledge and experience of the Dutch and the human resources readily available in Bangladesh, 15,000 people completed the Feni River Dam in the southwestern part of the country to protect precious cropland from the sea. At the same time, the dam created a large freshwater lake that will be used for irrigation. So the people of Bangladesh are beginning to deal more successfully with flooding. In Japan, the low-lying areas along the coasts are especially vulnerable to the effects of serious storms. Because flatland is so precious in Japan, efforts are continually being made to protect it from flooding. Dikes have been built to protect this land used for farming. The farmers work with much more confidence, but they still build their homes on high stone foundations in case the floodwaters come again. Here in a small village in Quebec, Canada, a huge mudslide swallowed up homes, cars, and families. The mudslide was caused by the melting snow and ice, heavy rains, and an underground river that had been forming under the village for 2 years. In this case, the only way people of the village could deal with the natural hazard was to move their village to another location entirely. In this program, you have seen people faced with natural hazards caused by water. You have learned how they deal with those hazards. How are these people's lives affected by natural hazards?